Hello, grade 8 learner. Welcome to your video lesson in mathematics, where we will be discussing how to apply theorems on angles formed by parallel lines. This is based on the K-12 curriculum learning competency. The learner proves properties of parallel lines cut by a transversal. It's another great day to learn, so prepare your module, pen, and paper as you start watching and learning from this video lesson. Refer to your Quarter 4 Math module entitled Parallelism and Perpendicularity for this video lesson. In this example, given that line A is parallel to line B and line C is parallel to line D, we are going to state the theorem or postulate that will support the following statements. We begin by observing the figure. Locating the angles given in the problem will be helpful in classifying them. We have angle 3 and angle 6, angle 8 and angle 16. Since angle 16 is already identified, we locate angle 10. And finally, we locate angles 4 and 14. Let us process what we know. In choosing which postulate or theorem to use in supporting statements that are made regarding angles created by parallel lines cut by a transversal, it is important that we identify and classify correctly the angles given in the problem. If the angles given are corresponding angles, we can use the corresponding angles postulate to prove that these corresponding angles are congruent. If the angles given in the problem are alternate interior angles, then we can use the alternate interior angles theorem to prove that the angles are congruent. If the given angles are alternate exterior angles, then we can use the alternate exterior angles theorem to prove that the angles are congruent. If the angles given in the problem are same-side interior angles, then we can use the same-side interior angles theorem to prove that the angles are supplementary to each other, meaning the sum of their measures equal to 180 degrees. Finally, if the angles given in the problem are same-side exterior angles, then we can use the same-side exterior angles theorem to prove that they are supplementary. Let us solve. To prove that angle 3 is congruent to angle 6, first we need to identify and classify the angles. Angle 3 and angle 6 are angles created by parallel lines C and D cut by the transversal A. According to their location, they are both interior angles and are found on opposite sides of the transversal A. Thus, angles 3 and 6 are alternate interior angles, which are congruent according to the alternate interior angles theorem. To prove that angle 8 is congruent to angle 16, we classify them first. Angles 8 and 16 are angles formed by parallel lines A and B cut by the transversal D. According to their location, angle 8 is an interior angle, which is not adjacent to angle 16, which is an exterior angle. Thus, this makes angles 8 and 16 corresponding angles which are congruent according to the corresponding angles postulate. To prove that the sum of the measures of angles 10 and 16 is equal to 180 degrees, we classify the angles. Angles 10 and 16 are angles formed by parallel lines C and D cut by the transversal B. And according to their location, they are both exterior angles found on the same side of the transversal. Therefore, angles 10 and 16 are same-side exterior angles which are supplementary based on the same-side exterior angles theorem. Lastly, to prove that the sum of the measures of angles 4 and 14 is equal to 180 degrees, we classify them. Angles 4 and 14 are angles formed by parallel lines C and D but are cut by different transversals. However, if we take angle 14 to the group of angles where angle 4 is located, we find that angle 14 has the same location as angle 6. If we place angle 14 where angle 6 is, we find out that angles 4 and 14 are both interior angles on the same side of the transversal A. This means that angles 4 and 14 are same-side interior angles which are supplementary according to the same-side interior angles theorem. Let us now state our conclusions. Given that line A is parallel to line B and line C is parallel to line D, the following statements are proven true according to their corresponding theorem or postulate. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 6 based on the alternate interior angles theorem. Angle 8 is congruent to angle 16 according to the corresponding angles postulate. The sum of the measures of angles 10 and 16 is equal to 180 degrees, which means that angles 10 and 16 are supplementary according to the same side exterior angles theorem. Finally, the sum of the measures of angles 2 and 14 is equal to 180 degrees, which means angles 2 and 14 are supplementary as proven by the same side interior angles theorem. Congratulations for finishing this video lesson. Now apply what you've learned by answering the activities in the activity sheet. Happy learning! We'll see you again in our next video lesson.